storage space today?
Yes. At least I think so. 164 gigabytes free. So that should be enough. Hi, Ben.
And just so you all know, today we're going to see one of the coolest things ever. So,
I hope if everything works, fingers crossed.
So if you say that you know how you should react.
That's good.
Maybe some of you have seen it already. I had a sneak peek. Was it yesterday, Hans?
I think so.
So,
yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes. Welcome everyone that has managed to arrive so far.
So do we have one from the UK and one from the US, or is...
No, Derek and Damien are both in the US, right?
Oh.
Derek's in Houston.
Yeah, that's correct, Houston.
Yeah. Okay. And Damien, you're up north in Seattle.
Just outside of Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh. So have you both been lucky enough to get a shot yet?
Yes, Saturday at the Tacoma Dome, they had a drive-through that they were just processing people like crazy. So we got our first round on Saturday, and I think we got to go back in 3 weeks or something.
Oh, yeah.
I've got both mine in. I got my second one in on April 9th.
Right. I'm waiting. I'll rush over as soon as they say I can come. I'm so tired of this, and where I live, we have the highest infection rate almost in all Europe right now. So we are supposed to be like in some kind of personal lockdown.
In Norrköping?
Yeah. Well, in Östergötland, which is a region.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is one of the main cities there. I mean, that's not a big city, but still. Yeah. So, yeah, just dying to get some vaccine out here so we can get back to something normal again. I had to cancel another thing with my daughter. It's annoying.
Yeah. So they had some free spots for people under 60 in Stockholm, and apparently there were like 10,000 people trying to book.
Yeah.
The problem here is there's a political element to it. Not everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
I suspect in Europe the conversion rate is probably a lot higher.
Well, we hope, but the anti-vaxxers, they have an easy time to... It's easy to dismiss things. It's much harder to prove things.
Yeah. But Lars, I'll pay for your trip. You just got to come for about a week, and while you're here, you'll be on my laptop. But we'll take care of it.
That's a new selling point. Yeah. I'll give you a shot, and yeah.
If you bring Hans, I'll actually, I'll make the deal sweeter somehow.
Well, we can make it a US tour if you want.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we should go for a visit in the autumn anyway. To just good to get out and about.
I have a great RV. You could go see the country.
Yeah.
It's a Mercedes diesel, runs like a top. It's all yours.
Lovely. Maybe take you up on that. Yeah, shall we get started? Welcome everyone. So I had a couple of things for tonight. You see my screen okay, right?
Yes.
So the first thing I wanted to mention was our Linux efforts that we had some demand from few guys that hey, it's been like 3 years since you said it should probably run on Linux but still doesn't. Okay, super fine, we can prioritize that, but we probably would need some funding. Why don't we ask for funding then? Good point. So what we did was to put a GoFundMe link out. Let's see if I found it now. And this page describes why we're doing it. What's with this?
I think the link isn't there. It's below, right?
I think this. Okay.
That's the
It
link.
was just maybe so we set up the campaign just to help us prioritize this work. So why do you need money? Well, who doesn't? We're doing well, but we still need some help in forcing our hands into doing stuff that to know what to prioritize. So there's a campaign here, and our goal was 2,500 euros, but actually we have had support from the first guy that said that he was gonna support us, but apparently GoFundMe wouldn't take PayPal, it only takes credit cards, so we got that funding the other way, so it doesn't show here. But if that's a thing for you, that could be a good place. We probably will be working more with these kinds of things to if you have something that you want us to prioritize, we might put it up as a project with some funding, asking for funding for actually starting the project. So I just wanted to get that one.
Something to do with ECO3 conversions, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to mention that we have been working on is the thing we call Tag Expander. And basically what we did was we've been doing a lot of things with the modernity of a system with the turnkey and Angular and web server rendering and HTML rendering, and we've been doing a lot with the gist of a system with the view models and the actions navigating between view models and the classes and derived things, etc. And all these things that we have been working on sort of made the fashion part of the stack seem almost forgotten. We just left that up to you, and of course you could work with it, but it's a mouthful doing CSS, turning the standard UI into good-looking things. It's not undoable, and we know because Alexandra, it's online over here, has been doing great job for us doing twisting and turning just using standard CSS and really no HTML overrides. So they're definitely possible to do a lot of things with only CSS. But still, can we make it easier? So that was the onset for this. And since we had the override pages from before, that was sort of our way to give up completely, that you can override everything and write your own stuff. No biggie. But that sort of got really complex. So I'm gonna demo what we have done now, that I think is a good middle ground. Yeah.
So Hans, are there components, speaking of fashion, historically we'd often leave that up to third-party vendors like Developer Express, to give yourself a look and feel and not have to do a bunch of grunt work. I don't know how that world looks with MDriven, and maybe that's where you're going next, but is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so on the web, it's a lot of the fixed widgets are fixed. So we have the edit box and we have the picker and we have the daytime picker, etc. And that's all built into the browser. But then again, we have the CSS that enables us to style them almost indefinitely. And that's sort of theme packages that you can buy and download and make to work pretty quickly. But then there are more complex components with logic, etc. And those often need a specific data to bind to, and then it's when it gets sort of complex to find anything off the shelf.
Hans, I mean...
Well, and it gets very dangerous. You don't want business logic in your components, and
no.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of them push people that way, or if you're not as disciplined, you'll end up with you end up supporting a component as opposed to a component supporting you.
Yeah. So,
but isn't part of the problem, Hans, that we have components. You can put components into a page so that the page is standard, and then you just have specific parts that is a component. And we are using AngularJS, and there's a lot of AngularJS components. But part of the problem is that we basically say that this is supposed to be so easy you don't have to have any knowledge. But if you're coming from the space of traditional development, there's no such thing as you drop in stuff, but you still needs to connect the wires behind. But we kind of want it to be even easier. So if you come with a mindset that this is something I actually work with, then I would say that you wouldn't have a problem with what we have. But if you come with a mindset that I shouldn't have to know anything about anything and I just type a little thing and then it just happens to work, and then it's too complicated. So I think a lot of it comes depending on where you are. If you're comfortable with taking a component and either get it or make it AngularJS compatible, and there's a lot of that. Our TinyMC editor, we didn't do anything really, we just plugged it in. So that works, and it works very well. But there's like 50 different ways of making the style come true, and there's 50 different ways of making the data binding come true. So if you take 50 times 50, there's a lot of different ways of doing it, and so I think a lot of the issue with this is navigating this space of compatibility, and at the same time saying you shouldn't have to know anything. And that's a difficult point. Then it has to be said it's true that we haven't focused on doing work for fashion very much. But now Alexandra and Dennis has at least the last couple of years improved that over time. So it's better and better. But if you are a web developer that are used to doing websites with styling, it's
Yeah.
quite easy.
Yeah,
But
you must
even
really state that there's nothing easy on the web. It might look nice, but there's nothing easy on the web. Everything is a lot of work, really. So that's one of the pills that you have to take. But as we're gonna show, we have made it. I think there's nothing as easy on the web as MDriven. And that's
a bold statement.
yeah,
Hans.
that's my bold statement. I wrote a text.
But I have to agree with you that let's go now and they'll see that's like, oh, can you do it like this? Because you have basically turned the whole process back up on its head with this last thing, which I think is nice.
Yeah, so I started the standard model with the thing, and I redeploy the model so we have a clean database. I'm gonna create a few lines here and save that and go into the view one thing. So this is the standard UI that we get from the view model. It's exactly as we designed it in structure, and of course if we don't want it this way, we like the information in here, but we want to do different things with the information than what comes out here. We have before allowed you to do the X override pages. So I'm gonna go over to show you just taking the place the folder where the server 1 is installed, and opening up that one, and there's the MDriven server and the turnkey server, and in the turnkey server there will be a views section, and in the views section there will be an X override pages, and if there isn't, you create one. So this is a special folder that we search for while we try to find the definition for a page. So if I went to the wiki, just prove the point, and pasting in that one, you can see that we suggest that you should put things in views X override pages to override things, and also this new thing that I'm going to show today. And what I'll tell you what, I'm going to remove those just not to confuse. And what to put then? Well, just a file named as the view model. So in this case, it's named view one thing, and it should have the extension CSHTML for Razer HTML. And if I then went back to see what my system would look like if I refreshed it, is an empty page. And what we have said before is that, well, now you can add things to your page. You could go to localhost, what's this called? Let's find that in the wiki, because it's like develop. Oops. Developer page. Oh, so what's it called? Server info, something like that. Yeah, your site developer server info. So things got messy over here. I don't know where that went. Okay, it wasn't the point anyway. What we had was a pages with the definitions of the different controls, so that you could basically copy and paste to get them in place. Could you look for that one, Lars? How to because I can't find it now.
I'm looking now.
So what we did was to introduce this new thing and put yet another extension on this one. Called tag expander. So if we have, well, I'm not going to create a new file. I'm going to rename this one to make it clearer. And the tag expander has functionality that is not HTML and is something that we interpret and find in the view model. So let's open this one in a this one. So this is Visual Studio Code, which is a good thing for writing HTML. And H1, hello world. Of course, that would. I've got a tiny screen here. So if I have this now, I would like it to, after I refresh, see that it renders this HTML instead. Of course, that's just obvious that we replace the page. But one of the good features here is that the turnkey server now has put a file watch on this file. So if I type in it and save, it immediately signals the server to refresh the page. So this makes it super good for design work, because I might want to update, save, and see how it looks in one go without any additional refreshes. So that's one of the things. But we also have these tags that you can use. So one common thing is that you want a complete clean sheet. You don't even want the main menu. So we have a special tag for that, %no menu.control %. So when I save, the main menu disappears. So now I have a complete plain sheet that I can do whatever I want with. So completely white, empty. Okay, so what's it good for? Well, we can bring in things from the view model piece by piece rather than bringing in the whole view model. So if I were to put this and see what's available for me, like some string, and for added effect I should have that visible, and saving that file, and voila, I have the complete control from the view model with the label and the input field. and I can also use, because this ends in control, and that signals to this turnkey server that you want the whole thing. You want to bring in the control. And
it should be /turnkey/development.
yeah, okay. I got the link here. Yeah. So what I didn't find before was this. You can pick view one thing, view model, and then you see what data is in there, and you get some help getting the complete HTML to bind to all the things. But this can now be done automatically by these tags. So instead of copying or pasting all of this junk, we just write some string control and bring in the whole control. And if we don't want a whole control, we only want the data from it. I'm gonna copy that. We can go like data. And notice that everything is wired up and works immediately. There's really no effort to do anything anymore on the web. Let's check the network traffic. It's silent. It doesn't say anything until I type. It will communicate back to the server, and the server will communicate back that we need to update this thing. So that's pretty cool. And if you want to leave this page, it says, whoa, you can't leave it because you have stuff to save. So that's a common case. Now that we have cleaned everything away, how can we manage to save and update stuff? Well, multiple ways. We could put an action on in our view model that saves, but since it's such a common case, we have a tag for that. Bring in the save control. I'm gonna put that in a div here. And save that page. And I got the save control. Okay, now I can leave. And if I were to, what happens now is that the application works as before, but when I hit this page, this particular page that I overridden, it's overridden. So if I take this row and go into view one thing, that's gonna end up on the view one thing page, which is overridden. I end up here. And if I save that, I can see that that data has been updated here. And yes.
Can you just give me the menu back? I'm just interested to see how. Is it like it just sits in there the same way as every other page then?
Yeah.
Oh, the menu, the left menu.
Okay, that's not an option at this point. So I had some design choices when I did this, and one of the things that is really significant for the turnkey default UI is the left menu with all the actions. So that really simplifies doing things quickly to create objects, to navigate and execute actions. But at the same time, it really makes the UI signal that this is made with turnkey. So I decided that when you use UI override this way, you probably don't want that. So if you want to bring up a specific UI, you would probably add a button to either do the self VM navigate to let's if we take the current I put that on the wrong. So here's the view model that I'm going to bring up, and this is the current details. So this is going to be of type detail, and some view model for that is there aren't any. So
View models.
Yeah, great. But there still might not be anyone. So call that one detail. And add a view model that's rooted in a detail that's named one detail. And I'm gonna add some columns here. Just and so
click on root also.
Good, like that. And if I then, well, what I have to do now is to tell the server that to upload, because there's stuff happened in the view. The view has been redefined, the back end of the view. I'm gonna upload the model. And if I put a div here, view one thing, that's called new button. So I should be able to put new button here, and watching this as I save that, I get new button, and new button takes me to the standard UI for this. So I'm back in the app if I want that. At least I thought I was.
Oh, it navigated to null.
To null, yeah. Because, yes, obviously, because I didn't have any detail objects, so I should have checked that before navigating. So that brings me to the other problem. We could sort of bring in this whole grid, which is called details. Yeah, just by doing more of the same. Okay, but we don't have any buttons to add things to the grid. So let's add another button to do that. New button 2, self details dot add detail create. I'm gonna do it like this instead. Let x be detail in and x point add, just to see that something happens. Pivot 1 equals hello plus the never mind, just let it be like that. So now I also changed the view, so I need to instruct the server to Was this the one that? Was this another one? And if I have a new button too, then and the new button 2 adds things, and now I have a V current, which is this one, hello SSSAAA, and the new button 1 should take us to, oh, I gotta save, new button 1 could take us to this one, and if this were to change value to something else, and I save that and go back, that would have been updated. So this is a complete view override, but still we have picked pieces and made whatever we wanted with that. Let's remove the header again to prove the point. So, and this might be what you want at some point, to bring in the whole grid component. Maybe you don't want the header or the label on this. Of course, that's fine. Then you would just simply, as we do in the default UI, remove the presentation from the control, and it renders differently. And we would upload that model, because that was the backend that's changed, and we would refresh this and be done with that. But you might just want to access the data within here, maybe not to render the whole control, because maybe you want, as in the sample, something like this, to render a bullet list or instead. And for this particular reason, we added another tag, so details.expression. So that accesses the expression for the control rather than the whole control. And if you know a tiny little bit of Angular, you can easily go like this, ng, that's the prefix for all Angular directives. So Angular repeat, and then we give the variable a name, row in, and we know that this will render as a list. Fine. So for each thing in the list, we will end up in this, and these are the Angular data resolving parenthesis style. So we're going to reference the thing that we have in the iteration, the row, and then we have a view model name for something in here, and we can take the attribute 1. Attribute 1, like that, and saving this, it ends up as a bullet list instead, because apparently no bullets, but that's a CSS thing. And if I were to add a new row, that would also end up here.
And Hans, I think you can just, if you add a star before the data binding of row.attribute1, I mean, you will have like a almost a bullet list.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah,
that's how.
Alexandra laughs at you now. I see it in the video. she thinks you should do something else.
It's fine. I'm just. It would work, yeah. I guess.
But if I remove this one, it's even clearer that Yes, so that's clear in one aspect, but if I put it down here instead and resave it, of course these are data bound, so if I change stuff, it's all connected.
Question.
Yes.
Does this apply to images too and blobs?
Yeah. So
So now it's possible to have an image in the database as a background image of something.
Yes.
Because you can put it in the style section. It doesn't have to be like HTML section. It could be a style.
Yeah, exactly. So
section,
that's
or
good.
Or inline style.
Yeah. Exactly. So what we can do is things like let's add an image here. So I'm gonna call that not new column because I'm going crazy. I'm gonna call it image. And let's say there was an image here that has a type of image, and image is a is that blob type image directly? I can't remember. Let's say it's a blob, and the blob has a blob type of being an image. Okay, so to get data in there, we could simply do, first we need to
include the control maybe in the
Yeah.
UI then, yeah.
So, but first we there's the image, but okay, and so maybe I need to find something.
You have Simon there.
Yeah. No, maybe something wasn't quite right here. Shake. Add image. This image. Blob null value. I never hooked it up to the attribute called image. And upload a model and probably refresh this one. It didn't look quite right. Should be let's see. Here's the image, and so to debug this, it would be easy to just go over here and remove this file and refresh that, because then I get back to the default, and I can see there's an issue with the upload control, which I can't pinpoint straight away. What's wrong with this? Self-image. Yeah, maybe we didn't get the correct blob type on it.
It looks like you did. Because the code that when it generated in SQL, it looked like an image.
Yeah. It's an upload label and the upload inner is
And it wasn't read only, so that's odd.
yeah. But still it uploads when I so not sure what went wrong with that one. Maybe not important to figure that one out right now. I'm gonna test to make it read only.
Or static, maybe. If you want to show it easily.
Yeah. I'm gonna call that image2 and upload and no, there's okay. Can't figure out what's wrong with that now. It should be okay. It shouldn't be any special issue with images.
So I use it as data if I want to.
Exactly. So you could use it as data to, and then
And
for
then
an
it-
image you would get the URL to.
64. The URL or the base 64?
No, not the base 64. For that you would need to follow the URL.
Okay.
Or I mean, you could convert it in the view model to base 64, and then you have to have
Yes, that
HTML to use the base 64, and you get the data. So either way would work, I assume.
yes.
Oh, great.
Wonder what's the issue with this.
But leave that. We only have 10 minutes to see the cool.
Yeah. So what are you thinking of with the cool thing, the import tag or?
Yeah, the import thing. It's like separating out your design from data binding in a new way, really.
Yes. So what we did was to let's put this back in here, or maybe we should make a copy of it and put the copy back. And just have that. Save that, and we're back here, and this last tag, or one of the last tags, was the import tag, because that could help us to bring in content from somewhere else to act as a template. And I was using this Webflow thing to demo this, which is an online it's an online HTML editor. Oh, your browser is too small. And what we were able to do then is to, well, of course, if there's any data here, so whatever we write in this and design this page with the tools available for us here, we can publish that to a domain that is at Webflow.io. So if I go and visit that I can see my page showing up here, and using the tags when I design in Webflow, I will be able to pull the published HTML from Webflow, to pull that into my turnkey application. So now I have the design from Webflow in a turnkey page, and I have controls being able to bind data straight in here. So let's do another example. So this was the control, but if I were to put what does it say? Oops. It's apparently not perfect. So some string control. Yeah, let's have it like this. I'm gonna have the data 3 times in here. And not pushing save because I'm on the web. I'm gonna push publish.
You said data, or now it says control.
Okay, good. I meant to change this to data to make it only grab the text. And also prove a point that we replace multiple places, so you could in principle have the same data many times. And a publish. And so this is what comes out on the Webflow, but since I pull that into my turnkey application, if I make a change here, I signal to the turnkey application to reload everything, and then I get the data mixed into the flow of text. So if I write something here, I can see that I have successfully data bound the things that came from Webflow. And of course I can do that with all things available here too. And I'm not suggesting that you should leave your content on Webflow. At some point you probably, when your design is finished, you copy the resulting HTML and make it part of your application and keeping it close together. But this is a really neat way to get the design process faster and the loop tighter, and that's what it's all about, to get anything done. A really, really tight loop to change and see, change and see, change and see.
So it could be any HTML local file or on a URL.
Yes, so you can also write local files here, and it will pull in that. So you can separate the
Yeah. So about global actions and access groups and action states.
So all the controls adheres to everything that you'd have designed them for. So if you have set visible expressions or type or style expressions, those will be honored just like they were in the default UI. And access groups as well. If you have an enable expression or an access group on a control, that will be honored. So it's really taking the best of two worlds, the total freedom with HTML, but trying to remove all the complexity with handling data and the data binding merging with the fashion. So what we have effectively done here during this hour is both construct the complete backend and dabbled a lot with the fashion of the page, even if I'm not any good at it. I hopefully you can see that it's possible. So anyone being able to express themselves with HTML and CSS will also now be able to inject data from MDriven into that fashion.
I think this is a great thing, you know, also we have this Mock-O-Type idea, right? A Mock-O-Type and a prototype together. So it's a Mock-O-Type. And there's so many places where you can generate really stylish, good-looking dashboards or style things, but they're completely static, and it's really difficult to make them come alive. And you want to show your customer, you want to try a concept. Now you can take the data, and you could, of course, you know, edit all these texts, and so all of a sudden you can put together a nice design that you haven't necessarily created with just a working back end, and you have this prototype that is actually working. So yeah, great promise. I'm looking forward to trying using it, because, and what I said earlier, that you have reversed it, because before we had our stuff and then you add it in style. Now it's almost the other way around, that you can just take an empty HTML, like an empty canvas, and you inject live data in it.
Yes, so this is flipping it on its head, and what we have always said is that most applications will probably just have like 5-10% totally own design UI, and then 95% of the UI is the auto generated that we offer straight off the box. And I still believe that you can put weeks and weeks into doing a great signature page to show off your cool stuff, but when it comes to all the nitty-gritty value stores and connecting data together, you don't want to waste your time in designing those things. You want a straight, repetitive, and easy to follow UI to handle that.
Sorry.
Is it still a CSS grid handling the layout?
So when you do the override, it's up to you. But
okay.
What happens?
There will be no style tags with all column heat.
Yes, the style columns will be there on the controls. So if you inject a CSS grid and put the controls straight into that div that has the CSS grid, then you will see that the controls are placed just as they were in the view model. But if you don't want that, you can just pad them within another div, and then you have effectively nullified the effect of our placement of this in the grid.
Okay.
Have you thought about this tag expanding thing only like inside one control? So I mean, what I mean is that we have components.
Yeah. but the problem is that it's like folding in on itself then. So I think we still need the components, and these things work great with components. I just tried that. So we don't have any time left, but still gonna show you to merge in the Gantt chart into this model so that we have some stuff here and a view model called projects, and I'm gonna send that up to the server to see that we created all the stuff needed for that back end. And if I've done that, I'm gonna head over to where's my page at? Here. Yeah, I didn't recognize it. Like that. And if I'm on the app, I probably have my projects here, and I'm gonna create some projects. And for this project, I'm gonna create an activity and drag out some times. Yes. So I have a view model called projects. Let's see. It's over here. And this one has a component on it called root nodes. So that would mean that I could go here and do a new file. Projects, and let's copy this. Like that, and head over here to bring that in there, and steal this one from here, and maybe I just bring in the root nodes only here, which is the overridden control. So and then I would end up in something that only has this one, and here I can of course mix and match as before with the div putting in the save control. I'm like a HTML rock star. And I'm gonna have a heading. And I can take the date scaler start time in the heading, pull the data for that, so whenever I change something here, the header is updated. Pretty fast.
Wow.
All right, we are out of time. Thank you for tuning in, and get cracking in doing view overrides.
Will do.
I will check out what I will explain why the image didn't work once I figured it out. All right, see you in 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Stopping the video.